As It Were production presents...
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. I'm Joe Lynch.
I'm Becca Howard.
And this is a show for movie lovers, by movie lovers, where each week we come up with a theme. We each pick a movie that the other person doesn't know. We then come here, we reveal that movie or those movies. We go to the couch, we watch the movies, we come back, we discuss them, and we try to figure out if, in fact, we have created another date night double feature worth watching and viewing and enjoying.
Yes.
Yes. And this week's theme is...
Snow days.
And we're both, well, I'm from the East Coast. You're from some region.
We didn't get too much. It was very temperate in Belgium. So whenever there was a snow day, it was really exciting.
Did you have the same thing where, like, if schools were closed, we had to listen to the radio?
What the fuck?
The public radio.
The radio.
So 6 o'clock in the morning and everyone's tuning in going, oh God, does this mean we and there were days where you
hear it now.
Yep, and here are the schools that are closed. And you'd sit there and be like, come on, Comswog. Come on, Comswog. And then when they said it, fuck yeah, snow day, grab your sled.
Now we had the internet.
Really?
Yes, it was invented in the late 90s, I believe. This by the time I was partaking in the joys of a snow day. It was the 2000s.
Oh,
and email had become a thing.
Old man Joe Lynch. That old man Joe Lynch.
So the school would email if it was a snow day and cancelled. I went out to my friend Hope's, to go tobogganing because she had a really
tobogganing.
Sledding.
Yeah, there you go. It's much better. Tobogganing.
To go sledding. My mom, being the true Canadian, grabbed a tea tray from the kitchen and was like, it's not real sledding unless you slide down a hill on a tea tray.
A tea tray would work perfect because you have the grips on the side.
It's great. Yeah, perfect. And then the best, it was a Friday. So right after that was the weekend. And then guess what? Monday also cancelled.
Oh,
best day ever.
Yeah, if you can get a snow day on a Friday, that's like God giving you a gift.
It was like a 3-night sleepover. Oh. We did her place, my place, and just hung out in the snow all the time. Shout out to Park Josephat, the park near where my house was in SCARFACE. The film that I picked for our double feature today is a snow-related feature with people in snow.
Okay.
I have picked the 2008 horror movie Let the Right One In.
That really? Because I too picked the 2008 chilling vampire-esque movie Let the Right One In.
That's never happened before.
I mean, look, to be honest, testament to our filmic choices and our acumen that we would both pick such a wonderful movie.
I know, but we didn't have any rules in place for what we were going to do if that happened.
A tiebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what we've decided to do is cancel Let the Right One In, because there's just no way once you know that's in the ether. It's just not fair at that point. So we just decided to go away for a few minutes and figure out an entirely new set of movies.
So I went with an obvious choice, or at least a recent choice. I went with Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight.
I thought this was going to be your pick because you're obsessed with The Hateful Eight. And I was like, I even thought of The Hateful Eight. And
so you thought that I would... See, I think... I also thought of The Hateful Eight, but then I went, you know what? That's the obvious choice. I'm going to go with something a little weirder or a little bit more avant-garde. And then, here we are.
I love movies featuring snow weather. And there's so many ones that I love. I love McCabe and Mrs. Miller, the Altman movie. I love The Great Silence, or Corbucci. So I was mulling around with those. But then I was so discombobulated from our first kerfuffle that I was like, okay, I'm just going to completely rethink the word snow.
Okay.
And what movie features a lot of, as the kids call, snow?
Oh, shit.
I have chosen Brian De Palma's Scarface.
What the fuck?
Oh, shit. That means we're got
be here
6 hours of
all
film.
Night. As far as I know, both movies are around 3 hours long.
Yeah, and they're both huge opera pieces.
Question. Do you have any cocaine? Because we might need it for tonight.
In a double feature, you normally have like different kind of vibes. So the only reason I say Scarface first is because...
Well, it kicks things off a little bit.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen it in a while, so I'd rather... The Hateful Eight I know really well, and
Yeah.
if we're going to be drinking old-fashioned, I think I'd rather start with the one I know less well.
You know what? I think that's a good choice.
We could just do a full Brian De Palma, have 2 screens going, and play them side by side.
We can split diopter them. We'll split diopter and we'll split screen at the same time.
Oh my
We'll do a mound of blow.
Snow, snow, snow. Snow, 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 snow. Blow, blow, blow.
Don't get that in my head yet. But you know what else should also be in your head? Our sponsor for this episode, DIABOLIKDVD.com, for all of your physical media needs. Oh boy. Okay, shall we?
We shall.
To the couch.
And now it's A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. This week's episode, Snow Days. Brr.
And we're back. And if you've noticed, things have changed a little bit. That's because when you pick 2 movies that are culminating in 6 hours of content, we got a little tired at the end. And we didn't have any cocaine.
We were both looking a little peaked, and we realized that the conversation we'd have wouldn't be useful or fun for anyone.
It would have just been a lot
ourselves.
of, so the movie. And when you have 2 movies as
Yeah.
kinetic as The Hateful Eight and Scarface, you want to be fresh.
You need a fresh cortisol lift, and we don't have the imminent threat of death, or indeed the white death represented in both films as snow.
Wow. All right. We're already getting analytical. I like it.
The snow featured in our first film is less literal, more the street name of the drug cocaine.
Boop, boop, boop.
Scarface is exhilarating for its vigor and craftsmanship. Al Pacino creates his freshest character in years, says Richard Corliss, Time magazine. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, gives Scarface 4 stars, highest rating. And Vincent Canby, New York Times, says Scarface is stylish and provocative. The most serious film about the American underworld since The Godfather. Al Pacino is Scarface. Rated R.
So we started off with Scarface.
We did.
Yeah.
I think it got a bit of a bad reputation, at least when I was in college, because the people who tended to really like love Scarface were like pros who also loved Fight Club, and it was like, okay.
It's a very aggressively alpha male movie.
Yeah, I love how the movie begins because they use non-fiction documentary footage of the 1980 Mariel boat lift crisis. There was this rush into America of all these people fleeing the communist regime. The use of that and the use of the title cards in
with
between
with the crawl, or and then with like the cut to blacks to the to each of the credits.
like that old quote, you know, when the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
Oh, I use it a lot.
They can see a clear delineation between like non-fiction and then this is fiction, not least because the entire cast of characters, all of whom are Cubans, are played by non-Cubans. Not even South. The vast majority of actors playing Cubans are Caucasians.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a performance of artificiality from the beginning. Like we see Tony Montana in the immigration interrogation
That
room.
360 that goes around him as you don't see any of the guys at first, you're just focused on him.
Yeah, there's a question about whether or not he's a criminal, and he talks about the criminals within the Public Enemy era of American media consciousness. Like he talks about the actors that portrayed them, like Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney. I like those guys. Like it's almost like the film from the get-go is commenting on films that have taken these legendary types
Mobsters,
of mobsters,
yeah.
criminals, and turned them into, through the use of media and the mediation of the filmmaker, turned them into these kind of legendary operatic figures. And from the get-go, it's like basically telling us that this is what none of this is going to be like, should be taken at face value.
It's not a docudrama, which is funny because Oliver Stone, who wrote the script, or as I like to say, it was written by Oliver Stone and cocaine. Essentially, this was supposed to be And I mean, it is in certain fits and spurts a remake of the original Scarface.
Yeah.
Putting that in there to completely like eradicate any predispositions on whether or not this movie was going to be faithful to that film.
I don't really see it that way. For me, it's more just commenting on the cyclical nature of violence and criminality and the obsession our culture has
putting
with
them on
it.
a pedestal.
Worshipping them as kind of like these godlike folk heroes.
Which we still do to this day.
None of this should be taken as like a history lesson.
Yeah, it's definitely heightened. I mean, everything about this movie is heightened.
Yes.
You know, from the colors to the scope, all the performances are there. There's a swinging for the fences, and then there are fences beyond that fence.
Speaking of fences, in the refugee camp, the asylum prison that the Tony and his best friend Manny,
Played by Stephen Bauer.
to get green card accreditation for them, ends up being by doing a favor to Frank Lopez, this drug overlord guy in Miami, killing one of Fidel Castro's ex-henchmen, literally like gaining their green card status by getting blood on their hands. And we very quickly established this red and white color motif when they do kill this henchman. As Tony said, it'll be a pleasure. It's bad, Tony. The pillows get ripped open.
And then you have the feathers and the flames.
Well, all these feathers end up canvassing the ground and they look like snow, or, in this case, could be any other white substance.
Yeah.
The henchman gets stabbed by Tony. He collapses on the ground and he's wearing a white shirt and blood spools through him. You get this high contrast of red and white. And that's how they are inaugurated into America. Welcome. Doesn't take him long with that kind of bravura performative stance of his to accede the ranks where everything is artificial, including the, fake it till you make it faces that we perform with. And so he gets his first job for the crime family. And I love the way they shoot Miami. Like even the beaches are just these intensely white.
Yes.
Sands.
That usually takes, for sand, like from a technical standpoint, you have to overexpose 3 stops to give it that look. And there's that one shot where it just kind of, it does a typical De Palma where it's on like a crane and it glides over to the car,
looks
and
like
it
snow.
looks like snow.
Everything feels overexposed. They feel exposed.
Yeah.
And the daylight, the use of daylight in this film, of sunshine, of it reflecting off of surfaces and being too white, too blindingly like transparent, becomes this oppressive atmosphere. Like everything is white, almost becomes associated with violence and with death, especially when there's blood splattered on it and this drug deal goes wrong. There's an amazing shot where the camera floats out the window
Trying to hook up with a girl.
and then it floats back in through this blindingly white porthole window. And just as blood splatters against it because his friend is being chainsawed
I will
to
never
death.
forget seeing that for the first time on HBO. I was not supposed to be watching it.
Oh,
and I will
sure.
never forget the shot where it like the blade, the camera goes with the blade, continues past, and then you're watching his friend getting chainsawed in
with
the
the
face.
eyes. Though, if you
with
were
the blood
watching
hitting,
the TV version, the TV edit wouldn't have had that.
No, the HBO had it. Oh, HBO had it.
There was on the version that Joe and I were watching, there were a lot of extra features, and we did actually get a chance to watch the TV cut version. It was so funny. There's a line where Tony was like, "This whole town is a pussy I'd like to fuck." And they changed it to, "This whole town is a chicken I'd like to pluck." It's like,
Not a bad fix. Not a bad fix at all.
so silly.
That's the first time that we actually see cocaine in the movie.
Yeah,
is
during
when
the drug deal.
Yeah, when they open up the briefcase and there are these like huge packets of it. Everyone has Uzis, by the way. Even like the chick on the bed.
Yeah.
It's just everyone's oozing each other. The chainsaw starts flying all over. It's madness.
It's so great.
And you can tell that's where De Palma's going like,
Yeah, he goes to Lopez's compound.
Robert Loggia. So good.
Oh my God.
Also
all these white
inappropriately
actors
Caucasian in the film.
doing these absurd like makeup and the accent is crazy. But his compound is you may have guessed, white and red.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere. Even his club that he takes them to celebrate, the Babylon Club, is just white pillars, wall to wall, and there's this neon pink kind of haze to everything.
Neon was very big in the 80s. And I will mention, too, white, when you're shooting, is like a DP's nightmare.
They do a good job.
They do. John Alonzo did an amazing job on this because you have to expose for everything else or the white is going to blast out.
There's like a white lamp in the middle.
Oh, yes.
That looks like it's kind of an orb. It looks almost
like a crystal ball
hand.
in a way.
Actually, not dissimilar to the white light like on every
it's
table.
The reverse
in the
Robert
Hateful Eight.
Richardson.
Yeah. It reminded me of the suitcase with the white light emitting from it in Kiss Me Deadly or Pulp Fiction.
Oh shit, a lot of graphics just went by. Holy shit.
Untold riches that your wildest dreams couldn't imagine. Like you don't quite see it, but you were tantalized by the promise of it. Shouldn't forget to mention that at this point we've met Elvira.
The second that Tony sees her, you can almost tell like he wants to snort her up too.
Yeah.
You know, she is one long white line.
They do like that vertigo shot when they both get into the car, and it's the moment that she offers him cocaine despite telling him don't get high on your own supply.
Which is like, that is such an important line
because that's the first time we see him snort.
It's the line that will eventually be crossed.
He has this alienated mother and sister, Gina, living in this white shack, which we first see under this burnt orangey red skyline, of course. And it's revealed that the mother is very much like it's her choice that there's distance between them.
It seems like she was trying to get away. Yeah, there was a reason why, and now he's here, and she's like, ah, shit.
Yes, Gina is played by
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio,
who is a very beautiful actress. Again, very Caucasian, and her Cuban accent is maybe the most intensely off-puttingly bad out of all of the actors in it. There's a great moment where you watch their mother, who isn't Cuban, but she's Puerto Rican, so I guess a little bit closer. She's watching these two white actors play her like offspring in brown face doing these accents, and there's an expression on her face where she almost looks like she's dying inside as she's watching them.
You almost expect her to look at the camera and be like,
but I do think that scene is actually quite important to how you watch the movie, because she's not only condemning Tony as a bum and saying that he is giving the family and Cubans a bad name, which she does explicitly say. It's almost like in that moment, Brian De Palma is claiming responsibility for how white people have portrayed Cubans, especially Cuban immigrants within the media of America. He isn't casting white actors as them to whitewash them, but in fact to make that point that they have been cruelly stereotyped, drug importing nation that is ruining this country. If he'd cast Cubans to play them, then the line between artificiality and real would perhaps be less overt. By casting white actors to play them, he
almost
is
in
saying,
like reverse kabuki in a way.
Yeah, like he's saying explicitly like this is false.
Yeah.
It's almost like the cinematic version of the like today's white alt-right podcaster, that dehumanizing, criminalizing stories, myths that they spread about immigrants, cinematically adapting their lies. And for me, it suddenly went from being this kind of like, ooh, awkward, how times have changed, that you'd never cast a white actor to play a, Cuban these days, to being like, oh, no, actually, I think that's a choice.
When you mentioned that when we were watching it, it's like, look, De Palma is one of the masters at precision craftsman work, right? Like the deliberate choices. And that, when you mention that, I go, okay, that actually feels like that was a deliberate choice, not Al Pacino will get the movie made, or any of these actors are the only ones available and we don't want to actually hire, authentic Cuban actors.
Which certainly happened in the 80s. But in this instance, I suddenly, only on this rewatch, I was like, oh, I think it might actually be
to its benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lopez's main office has no windows.
And that facade.
It just has this fake facade of like the sun and the beach. And then he goes out and sees Elvira and she's sunning herself by the swimming pool in front of the sea.
Yeah.
This preference for fake versions of things, and it's so claustrophobic and cloying, like the sense of...
Well, it's got the low ceilings. It's got that facade, which, by the way, it looks like the same exact facade in Carlito's Way, that paradise that he's like yearning for. Maybe he's also getting high on his own supply, and that paranoia that Frank gets kind of transfers over to Tony eventually.
Cocaine, the recurring use of it brings out this sense of paranoia where your own idea of reality, what is real, what is artificial, the line gets increasingly blurred.
Yeah.
Your own senses start to betray you. So I think in building up the artificiality of everyone's world, it's kind of playing directly into that.
Yeah. De Palma, I guess one of his biggest movies up to that point was Carrie. And in that scene where there's the assassination attempt, and this is a moment in the movie where I think De Palma directly says, like, before cocaine comes into Tony's nose, he is driven by ambition. He's, driven by the American dream. And then from that point on, when he starts scoping around in the club and he starts to slink down in his in the booth, that his drive now is fueled by cocaine and paranoia.
Yes,
like,
for sure.
There's a definite line in that scene where he goes from being like, I'm on top of the world, to I have to watch everybody. I have to have eyes in the back of my head.
They shoot all the mirrors around Tony and not Tony. It's like they shoot all these reflective faces of him and not him himself. Like they're destroying all his virtual like planes of existence, all these other aspects of his person, like, and they're not quite getting at him, which I loved. Like that was such a great shot of just kind of all these other faces
And
of
then
his
people
face
just
getting exploding around him, and he survives.
Did you notice that what I was saying before was, did you notice that like De Palma really likes to use lights as weapons? Because in Carrie, I think that it was like the teacher, Betty Buckley gets killed with the lights.
Yeah.
And then there's that one henchman who has the lights fall on him too. It's funny how he just likes to use those little motifs back and forth.
And once again, red and white, he shoots Lopez, makes him grovel for his life before. It's so sadistic before he murders him. And we see on his snowy artificial white carpet, his blood just spooling out everywhere, and that's the end of Lopez.
You always see in mobster movies where there's like an underling who's working for the other guys.
Oh, I love that bit.
Ernie's reaction when everyone else is shot in the room and he's sweating his balls off going, what's next?
After all this violence, and then he's just like, hey, Ernie, want a job?
Yeah.
So
but
funny.
After that, and I think this is like a masterstroke moment that De Palma did not need to leave in the movie, but he does, is Tony and Manny leave, and you have Ernie go, oh, God, fucking...
It's almost like in The Hateful Eight where they have literal chapter breaks. You almost get that one exhale of breath is like, oh, chapter break.
That's literally an intermission moment.
Yeah, well, not intermission.
No, but like where there's a break in the movie in a way, that's the moment where I think the audience for a moment just goes like, whew.
Well, then we have this, the obligatory montage of,
take it to the limit.
Yeah. The fall comes very quickly after the rise. And there's, especially when you're, just snorting cocaine like the vitamins, the defragmentation of his closest relationships. In one scene, even in the bathroom scene where he's in this massive jacuzzi-esque bathtub filled with white bubbles and white marble everywhere. Poor Elvira is just becoming this drug-addled ghost of a person at this point.
And Tony's even using like a two-pronged snorting thing. Like he's just mainlining at this point.
And even Sonny is saying like, you need to take a break. Like he starts commenting on his increasing paranoia and saying that he's investing too much in surveillance footage because that's very much like the cocaine, like stress of it, let alone being a drug kingpin. He's just very intensely feel like his disassociative break from reality is becoming more and more pronounced. And there's a great kind of like depressed look on Tony's face. Like he may have risen from the gutter, but he's still there. Like he's still being asked by all these other guys to do their dirty work for them. Yeah. And he realizes that no matter how much success he kind of grips and claws onto himself, he's still seen as this kind of dirty gutter rat.
If Tony is emulating and he holds these like, mobsters up on a high pillar as like where he wants to achieve, to see, and I'm sure he knew that Al Capone was taken down not by a hail of bullets, which is so print the legend, but by tax evasion. Like you can kind of tell like he wants to avoid that, but he's like, that's the destruction of the American dream. What happened to top of the world, Ma?
Yeah.
Which he gets, but like he's insulating himself, and I think that the paranoia is what fuels him.
He's very nihilistic. The following scene is him at a restaurant, and he's with Manny and Elvira again, the two people who ought to be bringing him joy. And he just starts picking on them just as much as they're picking on their food, and asking them like, is this it? Is this the everything? Is this the world that I've been striving to attain for myself and for us? Like, what's next? Am I just going to be here for the next 30? Like, he's already getting disillusioned with life, in as much as it's become an illusion. Like reality is kind of an illusion for him at this point, because he is so disassociated from it.
That's the moment where Tony finally, I think, finally reflects on everything that we've seen in the movie up to that point. And, we're at the 2-hour point at the, in this moment in the movie. So we've had plenty of movie to watch. And I think everyone agrees at that moment that, well, you got exactly what you wanted when you stepped off of that boat. And all of that ambition got you so far, but you got high in your own supply.
Elvira even says we're not winners, we're losers, because the only fleeting moments of joy we've had in this life have been from drug substances, and that's not substantial.
Yeah, there's more chemistry in a pervy sort of way between Tony and his sister.
Yes.
Who figures into the plot when she starts dating various members of his crew, including Manny.
Well, she's the only thing that's pure, apart from his excellent cocaine, which I'm sure is very high quality and pure. Ironically, the only other pure thing in his life, and he becomes like crazy overprotective of her.
You just holy shit, like that's totally true. It's like the only pure thing in his life is probably his coke.
He is self-sabotaging for sure at this point. Like when he goes to kill the troublesome political pundit that he told all the overlords he was going to kill. Sosa's assassin is in the car, and he's about to blow away.
Oh boy.
This political pundit, who is suddenly unplanned, he's with his family now, his little children that they can see in the back of the car right before they explode it. And Tony at this point, it's less, I think, that he doesn't want to have the children's blood on his hands. It's more that he doesn't want to have the blood of his own. It's like that they represent the last fragment of innocence for him, the children that he will never have. Yeah. He's mourning what could have been at that point. So when he says, I will not be a part of murdering children, and he ends up shooting Sosa's assassin and not letting him kill the fat pundit and his family, he knows on some level at that point that he's got a target. Drug-addled brain, he knows he's signing his own death warrant at this point.
Dead man walking. But I think from a filmmaker standpoint too, I think De Palma and Stone probably felt like, if we kill the kid and the mom, we are never coming back from any empathy that we get in the last 20 minutes of the movie. The audience would have completely turned off from him, and he wouldn't have been the tragic character that we see.
Sure, because the tragedy of his life doesn't end there. The next thing we see is him try to grab his last fragment of childlike innocence in his life, his sister Gina, and it's Manny standing there, and he doesn't wait to hear that they are married and that him and Manny are the real brothers now that they always felt
there's no
like
I can explain.
Nope. There's nothing. It cuts straight to slow motion, full blaring score, and I think that's a wonderful choice, because this is a total break from reality for Tony at this point. So there is no diegetic anything. Everything is fake, mediated. Yeah. And he shoots Manny dead. And Gina's like, no. He is just raw nerve. Yep. At this point, he's just lashing out at everything. He's not really there. He is living this kind of dream but it's becoming a nightmare.
Yeah. If you want to know more about the movie, The World Is Yours book that Glenn Kenny wrote is an amazing chronicle on the making of it. And just to hear that, like, Spielberg just happened to be on set that day and De Palma's like, here, take a camera, go get some inserts.
When people say, like, this movie is too much, I'm like, yeah, it is, but that's the point.
But that's the point.
Like, the shot of Tony just sitting there depressed.
With
like,
the mound
the famous
cocaine.
shot of piles
Yeah.
of coke around
Yep.
him. And he shoves his face in this mound of cocaine like a child would shove his...
With the little nose.
Was like a kid on a snow day.
Yeah.
Shoving his face in a pile of snow. The first act of violence that actually triggers the hail of bullets that ultimately
The flurry
ends the film
of violence.
is, yes.
The blizzard of bloodshed.
Yes, very good alliteration. It's Gina. She comes in the
Oh,
room
man.
like naked.
Practically throwing herself on him.
Is it a Brian De Palma movie without incest? I don't think it is.
No.
She starts shooting him with every line of "You want to fuck me," hits him with another bullet. "You want to fuck me, Tony?" Hits him with another bullet.
Yep.
And I love that Tony at this point is so artificially energized.
He's not running on blood anymore. He's
No.
running on chemicals.
that it really takes a lot to take him down.
Yep.
Like, it's not just a hail of bullets, which also I love that it like destroys the destruction around the house called the thick haze of white fog almost from all
Yeah.
the dust particles.
Yep.
He also requires another militia hitman guy to shoot a shotgun in him from behind.
Yeah.
Before he finally gives up the ghost, so to speak, and falls headfirst into his lobby pool.
Yep.
With the neon sign, "The world is yours."
With that globe that
the-
deliberately looks like the Universal logo, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right? De Palma went, that's my last shot.
Yeah.
Like Tony in a pool of, literally in a pool of blood.
His blood billowing out
Yep.
into the
And
whiteness of
and
the
camera
haze.
just glides up past the Universal sign, you know, with "The world is yours" as a cautionary tale. Like, if there was ever a shot that has been more earned, it's that shot in Scarface. It is a perfect encapsulation of the movie, like in literally in one kind of fell swoop.
I really enjoyed watching it again. For me, the whole movie is about excess and what happens when you treat every day like it's a snow day. Every day is about doing whatever it is you have to do to get whatever you want to have. And the ramifications, the consequences of that, like how you mentioned before that he's fueled predominantly on cocaine. I think initially what fuels him is this unaddressed trauma from his life on the streets. And what happens when that can, first of all, propel you to great heights and, if left unaddressed, take you down from those heights just as brutally. I think that's why cocaine is just such a brilliant drug of choice in the same way that alcohol was for the 1930s film. It actually made me think, what substance would that be today to represent excess and living your life too close to the edge of every frayed nerve?
Molly? I don't know. That route is the route he took. And then the rest of the movie, Every Day is a Snow Day, is what he's putting up his nose.
Speaking of snow days, our second film features a more literal
Yes.
take on the theme. So after the break, we'll be right back to talk about that film, The Hateful Eight.
So, what'd you get me for Christmas?
What, me? It's Santa that's getting you presents, not me. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine. Santa, what did you get me for Christmas?
I don't know. It all depends on whether Santa has become aware of diabolicdvd.com.
I would hope so, because guess what? That's where, you know what? I will almost guarantee that is where Santa goes for all of his good little boys and girls needs for physical media.
Well, I know that for the last 20 years, it's been the home for all of your weird horror cult cinema needs, and I'm sure Santa has a lot of weird horror cult cinema needs.
Well, considering that Santa goes around the world, so does DiabolicDVD.com, with a one-stop shopping experience from all of Our favorite labels probably Santa's favorite labels like Indicator and Umbrella, Arrow, Cauldron Films, Blue Underground, Mondo Macabro, and many more labels from around the globe.
And I bet Santa is cozying up with Mrs. Claus right now with some of the amazing Snow Day themed films available on DIABOLIK DVD.com. Still doing it.
Yeah.
Including the delightfully cozy romp Sergio Corbucci's The Great Silence.
Ooh, really
with
good.
Jean-Louis Trintignant and Klaus Kinski. Available in a myriad of beautiful Blu-ray formats.
There's like 3 or 4 different versions on Diabolik.
There is, and no matter what region you hail from around the world, they have you covered. There is a region A, that's the 50th anniversary edition that they have available in the US. There's also a region B from Eureka, and there's an all regions 4K UHD, and they all feature different cover art. So if you have a multi-region player, as you know, maybe you should invest in, you can just get all 3 of them. So you have all 3 of the beautiful cover arts available, and you're just like, which one shall I pick today?
One of the things that I love about physical media is commentaries. And the Great Silence commentary by Alex Cox, filmmaker Alex Cox, who did Repo Man and Sid and Nancy. You should know who the Alex Cox is. He is a spaghetti western expert, and his commentary on The Great Silence is amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know what other commentary is absolutely amazing? The commentary on the 4K version of John Carpenter's The Thing. Ooh. It's funny how, like, you know, we're talking about Hateful Eight. Well, The Thing was a major inspiration for The Thing. It's also in snow, so it could have been my choice. But the commentary alone with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell for The Thing is one of the most informative and entertaining commentaries ever recorded.
I love it. That's one of my favorites. It's just the 2 of them having a good time.
That's the thing. To hear these 2 laugh over a shoot that was very notoriously audacious is so much fun. Also, if you haven't seen this movie in 4K, stop what you're doing now. Watch that movie like immediately in 4K. That
would actually be an amazing double feature for your next date night with yourself or with whomever, is just to watch The Thing and then to pick yourself up, watch The Thing commentary, because it's such a dour movie, but then the commentary is just a barrel of laughs. So really, you just need the Blu-ray.
Yes, Blu-ray, 4K, either way. John Carpenter's The Thing was much ballyhooed back in the day, now is considered a modern classic.
You haven't seen either of these movies until you see them in their physical media format.
Yep. And now, because it's the holidays, we have a promo code. Woo. You know, to make sure that if you have a ton of Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks that you got to get for all of your family members, Diabolik DVD has you covered. If you use the promo code ACOF 1225, you get 10% off $100 or more. Does not include tax and shipping, but now you can get all of your families and friends and all the people that you need to get DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks from Diabolik DVD covered with that promo code.
Or just treat yourself this Christmas.
You know what? Yeah, fuck everybody else. Just get yourself $100 or more worth of Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks, and Diabolik DVD also has you covered.
Or do what Joe and I do and get each other presents that are really for both of us.
Considering that we picked the same movie on this episode, it wouldn't surprise me if we just got a bunch of those and we went, Merry Christmas.
That's what we do every year.
Yes.
And if you don't know how to spell that, that's DIABOLIK DVD.com for DiabolikDVD.com, or you can visit its sister website, Cauldron Films. That's Cauldron Films with a hyphen in the middle.com.
And whether you're looking for that definitive version of Brian De Palma's Blowout, or just trying to upgrade your old DVD of Robert Altman's McCabe and Mrs. Miller,
another great snow day,
chilling 4K, DiabolikDVD.com is the owner-operated small business choice that you have been craving. So, enjoy physical media, go to DiabolikDVD.com, and back to the show.
And now, on with the show.
And welcome back to our show.
I am never good with the way that you just kind of run through the movie and kind of make your points the whole way. I like Hateful Eight. It's about a bunch of people stuck in a cabin. Bad shit happens.
Yes.
From the director of Kill Bill and Django Unchained comes 7 strangers and one
Good way to get yourself dead.
they got a secret,
One of y'all ain't who you say they is.
but they didn't count
Do you know who he is?
on him.
Starting to see pictures, ain't you?
He'll kill everybody in here.
Shoot him, stab him, burn him.
I never bring him in alive.
Never.
Never, ever.
The Hateful Eight, rated R.
We are watching the theatrical version. We're not watching the roadshow version, the 70 millimeter roadshow version, which has differences in it. They use different shots. Fred Raskin, the editor, revealed that there were like different little bits and pieces that were changed just for the roadshow version. We immediately open up the film to these beautiful 70 millimeter vistas. He's usually keeping things more insular, more close to the bone or close to the character. And the first 2 minutes of the film is, you know, this shot of this Christ, this frozen Christ, as we pull away slowly.
I love all those vista shots.
I love them.
There's a certain monochromatic, when you do get color, they're these isolated moments of shocking poignancy at the beginning. Like you have the yellow
From
of
his
Warren's
jacket.
scarf and his inner lining of his jacket, and the red of his bodies, of the, you know, bounty that he's trying to deliver to Red Rock.
Yeah.
And it's like immediately gives the theme of isolation, which I think becomes a prominent theme in the film.
And what he and Richardson, the DP, do really well is they personify cold so fantastically using the lightest color blue. Because if you look at the movie throughout, whether you're outside in all those vista shots, it's all color timed a little bit icy, a little bit blue. The fact that they iced the sets so that you would always see their breaths.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
That was obviously all very well designed in creating this sense of isolation, in creating this sense of almost like purgatory between all of these characters. Most of the people in this movie are pretty fucking
They're all
despicable.
just trying to do their best to survive in a very, very difficult landscape. And I don't know how I would be dead. I don't have the, like, if I lived in this time. So we meet John the Hangman.
Yep.
And the way that we're introduced to them is that Warren, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is another bounty hunter. John the Hangman is a bounty hunter. And we have this kind of conversation where Warren is trying to make his way onto the stagecoach.
It's one trip, two passengers, that's it.
But they say there's a blizzard up their ass, so they know anyone left out in the cold is going to die.
Yep.
It's a matter of life and death getting on the stagecoach.
And immediately, the fact that like they have those shots where you see the blizzard in the background, such a smart device to start a ticking clock.
I feel like the second theme for me that this movie is really talking about is the idea of trust and how you form alliances or truces. How do you tell if someone's telling the truth in such, especially within this isolated landscape where it is often one, the only person that you know for sure you can trust is yourself.
Yep.
For me, how De Palma uses the documentary footage at the beginning, it serves a similar function of you have these chapter headings and immediately gets a sense of this is a story that is being told by someone.
Yeah.
This isn't to be taken literally. There is going to be hyperbole. There's this tenuous truth, not just between the characters, but between the audience and the filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I think having things like chapter headings, some overt uses of mediation, stepping
Yes.
on the narrative, is I personally love those uses because it makes you question what the validity, the truth is, in much the same way the characters are having to do with one another the whole time. Like when Warren starts telling the Lincoln letter and you're like, is this real?
You look at all of Tarantino's work and he's very precious about his filmography. He hasn't really made a horror movie other than maybe Death Proof. But this to me, I think, is his purest form of a horror film.
It feels like a ghost story,
Yeah.
like a campfire ghost story, or almost like one of those morbid country songs that
Yeah.
you hear about, like the legend of Minnie's haberdashery and all
Yeah.
the bodies that were. Not spoiler alert.
Oops, sorry.
Whatever.
Shit.
Spoiler alert.
A great lesson in exposition too, to have these characters that only know bits about one another but not really, like just as they reach the end of the threshold of conversation that lets us know who each of them are and their backstories are, that's when we get introduced to another character, Mannix,
Walton Goggins,
who is a stranger to everyone.
Yeah.
So he really lets loose on the exposition backstory, but you don't notice it because he's, you know, using their lack of knowledge about each other to fill in the blanks about our own lack of knowledge.
Not just lack of knowledge, but like you were saying before about how, you know, these people only know fragments of the other person, and by them saying, "Wait, aren't you the hangman?" Like, and then they start to expound on all of these little details that they, like, you know, Sam Jackson's character Marquise, like how Chris Mannix knows about what he did to that house, and by just talking about that, now you're filling in the blanks, and that's the beauty of this script, is that it is, the audience has to keep up entirely. You have to be frosty to see how they're revealing little things about each other, even just in that tiny little carriage.
Snow itself is the inciting incident. The blizzard is death snapping at their heels, and anytime they seek get any kind of shelter or relief from it, you do, as an audience member, get to breathe a little bit, because you get some kind of respite, at least from this ongoing white death of snow.
Tarantino has talked many times about how John Carpenter's The Thing was an inspiration, so much so that cues from Morricone's discarded score from The Thing are used in this, and used beautifully. He personifies, he makes the snow and the blizzard a character.
Yes,
that is the looming dread that is coming for them.
As we're getting to Minnie's haberdashery, it's this great kind of like phantom carriage shot from atop of OB's head, which is not that they know it yet, but they are arriving at a death house. What I love that's kind of established here is that we see this idea that knowledge, like we were talking about, is very much power over any of the weapons that they could potentially have. Warren uses his knowledge of Minnie and her.
He starts to vet.
Yeah, he almost has like a Poirot quality. Like this whole film is almost like, I think Tarantino talked about that he's a fan of the Christie character.
It totally turns into an Agatha Christie mystery.
And Warren feels like the Poirot type, because he starts questioning Bob in the stable, saying like, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
You saying that Minnie's over here?" And he's like, "You calling me a liar, capron?"
And he starts to kind of starts poking holes in everyone's trust.
Well, it gives credence as well to that classic cliched line in any Western of like, "I don't know these here parts." It gives it a certain insidiousness as well, like not knowing these here parts or the personages in these parts, what part they're playing. That's like dangerous.
The running joke of the door getting broken and having to break it down again or nail it back together again.
It's funny, but it also does give a sense of like there is no escape.
Oh, yeah.
No quick escape anyway, because they literally have to nail 2 boards to the door, so they can't run out of there.
For the most part, you are completely stuck in this pressure cooker.
I love the score, like you were saying, but I do love the moments where the score just cuts out and all we hear is this snow soundscape of the blizzard pounding the logs. The door is like the nail on a coffin, as it were.
Yeah.
Because like
it is one big coffin. I think that every one of these characters is dead, and that this is their purgatory, and that they are all there to be judged in one form or another.
No, that's not. I love that. It's like that horror movie Dead of Night, like just repeating the last like guttural hours. I love it.
The worst hell that any of these people could endure is each other.
There is this Robert Richardson spotlight,
which he got shit for years, having that overhead fuzz. No, but if there was ever a time where that old school Robert Richardson overexposed look works, it is definitely in here.
Well, because between all of the character that they're forming these alliances, breaking these alliances, it looks almost like a police interrogation room every time someone goes to a table and it's lit by that overhead white spotlight, which is that kind of like pressure point of them is perfect. Every time they go to like an expositional shot, there's almost this Robert Richardson like, it looks almost like a a backlight to the entire and it makes it look like it's glowing, almost like a shot out of Kwaidan or something. Another great Snow Days movie. Once again gives credence to your theory that this is purgatory and they're all ghosts in a ghost house.
Yeah, he's using Evil Dead. He's like with the little, with the trap door down below. The chains in the background are right out of Hellraiser. Even the overhead shots are straight out of Evil Dead 2. He's using a bevy of horror movie language, cinema language, to keep you on edge and keep that dread going. But at the end of the day, it is just a movie about people talking, and it's characters that are driving the narrative.
The story between the general, the Bruce Dern character, and Warren, which isn't really a part of the greater narrative of the film, but it's like this little moment of telling tales, telling stories. Is it true? Does it matter?
Yeah, we don't know we don't know if the story about General Sandy's son.
Yes, which Warren tells him to goad him into picking up the gun he's purposefully left next to him. Bob is playing Silent Night in the background.
And fucks up a little bit too, which I love.
Great, because this sort of calming, relaxing piece of music, and it's almost like when he starts playing it, it's like the calm before the storm.
And he's manipulating it in a way that makes it scary.
Yeah, every time he hits a discordant note, it makes you kind of, the tension is like pierced for you. Does it even matter whether or not we trust it to be true when just the image, he even says like, you're seeing pictures
starting to get the picture now?
You're seeing pictures now, he specifically says. And when you're told a story and you see the pictures and it's manipulated to you in that certain way and you believe it in that moment emotionally, whether or not it actually happened is almost besides the point. Your emotions are real.
It's what the actions are
triggering.
Derived, literally.
We're told after the intermission through a voiceover
by Tarantino
that someone has poisoned the coffee. And I love this, like the chapter breaks very much serves to inform us this is a story we're being woven, and no one can be trusted, least of all the filmmaker himself.
And I do think that like the version that we watched, which was on Netflix, that doesn't have the intermission, it kind of sucks that you don't have that breather, because when you have Tarantino come back and go, let me get you up to speed. This happened and that happened, and this is what's happening over here, and the coffee's still poisoned. Who knows what's going to happen next? Like, it reminds you that you are watching a movie.
Yeah, and goes back to the theme of knowledge is power, because it specifically tells us that Daisy saw who poisoned the coffee, and then that colors our entire, not just how we're watching, but the coverage that it has. It doesn't show, when it shows other people go up and pour themselves cups of coffee, Daisy is the one in focus. Her watching them, because she knows, and knowing is so important. Like, this is the point at which he goes back in time to show that her brother, he doesn't show us his backstory and that he's hiding in the basement this whole time because he wants the moment of shock.
Say
Warren,
adios to your huevos. Beautiful
through
line.
the floorboards. It's like how the tenuous nature of truth and truces are developed throughout. Like we think the filmmaker's letting us in on the knowledge, and then he's like, fooled you guys, not quite all the knowledge. So he could still have moments of like, oh shit.
He is being very selective with his
in the way that everyone else is.
Exactly.
You're almost one of the characters in the cabin with everyone.
He's the puppet master who's like got like the strings on his fingers, and he's manipulating everybody in this enclosed space,
including the audience.
Yes.
Once Jody comes out and his head is blown the fuck off by
that shot where he like, and it's, hey, how you doing, dummy? Like, it's such a wonderful moment.
You do get the sweet moment of like defrosting of the snow and like, oh, and then like he does it on purpose.
Yeah, and done in a way that looks like they took a guacamole gun and put it right behind Channing Tatum.
Yeah, man.
And a wave of blood shoots everywhere.
Yeah, a blizzard of blood, as you were saying. And then they're operatically very De Palma-esque. Everyone starts slow motionly biting the dust.
Yeah, that's
finally,
very De Palma-esque.
Yes, everything has gone back to real time from the slow-mo. But the only person that's still caught in slow-mo is Warren. He's like, you're gonna listen to this bitch. And it's like, because he was on the ahead of everyone this whole movie, and he's finally on the back foot and slow on the uptake and doesn't know what's happening anymore. So that he's the one still stuck in his slow motion while everyone else has returned to real time.
Yep. When you look at a 70 millimeter film, it is in a 2391 or 240, so it's incredibly wide. And the way that Tarantino is telling stories, like in both sides of the frame too, for a movie that's stuck in such a confined space, it's some of the most dynamic use of widescreen I think I've ever seen.
The last two members alive, who are Warren and Mannix, the unlikely final two, lying on, one's on the bed, one's leaning against it. And I love the last couple of lines they have as they're lying there, that Warren says, "I think I misjudged you." It's a nice full circle moment about how we judge people and the nature of trusting one another and friendship. I love that everything gets a full circle moment. Mannix says, "Here comes the part of the story where I blow your head off." So even in that one line to Daisy, he is making the story, the fact that this is a story and being told, that also even gets a moment to come full circle, to close the chapter on itself, so to speak, by having even one of the characters make reference to it.
And the way that Daisy dies is so brutal. I know. But you can't, like, I remember the first time watching it going, is this too much? Is this too mean-spirited?
Well, again, full circle, when you get caught by John the Hangman, you hang.
Yep, and it justifiably so. The way that it's treated like chess, how there's different pieces, every character is a different chessboard piece, and I would have never expected, in a way, that Mannix and Marquis would have been the two surviving members. And they're going to die, but at least they're put together. Considering that, like, Mannix is essentially a racist in the beginning of the film, still is a racist throughout the whole movie, but sees Marquis at first as, like, maybe an ally, and then almost human in a way, in a way that he can. But he's the one who calls out the letter.
Oh yeah,
in the middle of the
that.
movie, he's the one who's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
Lincoln would never talk to
So
that
they
person.
establish that this is obviously a fake letter. The Lincoln letter is something that, again, to lead back to the idea of truth and trying to get off on the right foot, and that's how you survive in this isolated landscape where you're one against many. That's why Warren justifies lying to people about this Lincoln letter. As you say, Mannix is the one to call him out on it and reveal that it's a lie, and yet he's the one who in his dying moments asks Warren to bring it out and read it to him. And it's such a wonderful,
it's a beautiful
final
moment.
touch of just, and even though he knows it's not true, in this last vulnerable moments of his life, he derives comfort from it because it's a good story.
Exactly.
And it's like the enjoyment of the good story, in the same way that this entire film has been, is more important than whether or not any of it really happened.
And the way that he finishes the letter and then crumples it up and just kind of tosses it off.
And has that little smile.
Yep.
That last little smile before the cut. It reminded me of that last smile at the end of Magnolia.
Yeah. Well, Tarantino always knows how to cut to black. Everything, like the moment where in Inglourious Basterds, when he says, like, I've made my masterpiece, or Reservoir Dogs, where it cuts when Harvey Keitel's killed. He knows the right beat to leave the audience, like, satisfied. And I would say, incredibly satisfying movie.
Last call.
Well, yes, let's do the
Last call!
All right. Would you say that this was a good pairing, and was the order correct?
Sure.
I think if you had a long night.
Yeah. I was amazed at how many parallels we were able to find, actually. But they both are bombastic
and
operas.
Long as fuck.
So, I think in real life, scheduling a marathon or a double feature, you wouldn't put these two back to back.
No. If you want to do a weekend where you're watching, one, because you're right, these are full meal movies. And to jump from, I think that's part of the reason why we felt like maybe let's do the dissertation the next day, because you want to, both with Scarface and with Hateful Eight, anytime that I watch them, they linger. They stick around. And, while I think both of them on their own right were perfect for the theme, maybe you want to spread them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Let the Right One In fucked us over. So you can say that this is all Let the Right One In's fault. But, I think they're good picks for the theme. Maybe not the best choice for a doubleheader.
Yeah.
Unless you have a lot of time on your hands and maybe a lot of cocaine. We're going to put the challenge to you. What do you think would be like the good B movie to Hateful Eight or the A movie to Scarface? We got to discuss next week's episode.
Yes.
I'm going to pull out the hat.
Oh, no, but wait, we don't need the hat next week. It's Christmas. Remember, we were going to do a Christmas special.
Oh, shit. Okay, hold on a second. It's a Christmas miracle. Look at that. Through the power of Christmas magic and some deft editing.
The theme is a Christmas movie that the other person hasn't seen yet. So introducing.
Ready? Secret Santa.
Yes.
That's
much better.
Perfect name for it.
Yes.
But I'm really excited because, A, we love Christmas movies.
Yeah,
and
we really do.
At the same time, we also have that tradition where we at least have one date night where we watch all of our favorite Christmas movies.
Yes.
And
this will be a nice other version.
Because we go to our comfortable hits.
We have a hit list of our favorite seasonal movies.
Around the time that we're shooting this, it is officially Christmas time. So all bets are off. We can, let's just watch Elf over and over again.
Okay.
That works for me. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Diabolic or DiabolicDVD.com for being our sponsor. Obviously, as per usual, like and subscribe so you can get the latest episode right when it comes out every Friday. You can also follow us on Instagram at all of the handles here. If you want to find a list of all the films that we talk about, every film that we talk about, we keep the lists. And if you look at the description, you have the full list of all the movies that we talked about in this episode. You can go to my Letterboxd account at the Joe Lynch, and you can look at that wide array of films, and there's got to be something in there that you haven't seen before. While we're not using the sorting hat this week, don't forget, if you have any comments or any themes that you want to use,
we do add them to the hat.
We have been adding them.
One day.
Yep. So, and
could be you.
if your theme is chosen, we'll make sure that it's written on the back. We will give you a special gift. Without further ado,
movies are the best marathon worth participating in. The only marathon worth participating in.
Sure.
And they are what date nights are made for. Yay! No, I did. Remember it, basically. Bah, humbug.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.